because I'm doing this off-gassing of the prints, these are all two-color prints. So you might not see it absolutely, but what I do before I do any carving is I'll roll a flat white. Can you see that from without lights? So I do that first before any carving. And then I will have shellacked it so that I can remove that white easily. The white won't stick to the wood. And then I start carving in the way that you see over there. So I carve and I carve and I carve. And the nice thing about carving, the bad thing about carving is it takes forever. The good thing about carving is it takes forever while you listen to podcasts or watch your favorite Netflix show. Like, it's muscle memory at that time. So you just have to pay attention to where you're moving. You don't actually have to think about content or context. You can just do. And then you end up with that, and you go to your second print. So I just printed this today, so these are hot off the press, if the press was hot at all. And with that, you end up with the block. So this is the newest finished block. I will leave the ink on there, right? I will go in and I'll clean up all the body part. So like anywhere, this is called chatter, or sometimes I just call it scum. But it's oftentimes chatter. I don't know if you can see it. Like, it's not always intentional. When you use a brayer, if you use a soft brayer and you have a large enough space, the brayer can sink down into those bits. And when you carve, I'm only carving, you know, a fraction of an inch out of that wood. I do not need it to go down. As soon as it's gone, the beauty of relief is once it's gone, it's gone. There's no, you get tonality through hatching and cross-hatching. You don't get tonality through carving deeper. So the next step for this is to let the ink thoroughly dry, because it's still a little tacky. I'll clean up all the chatter. I'll then go in and I'll color her shirt and their little satyr legs in the way that I have over here. I'll then shellac it one more time. I will ink up the sides in black, so you can see I did a little preparatory of that, but I'll go in with actual ink and do it as opposed to this is just water-soluble ink. I will ink up the back with white, and this hasn't happened yet, but the reason I'm inking up the back in white is each one will have a very short prose piece that is only for the preparators or the people who purchase it. So there's a secret second story on the back of all of these. And that's the beginning to end of these particular processes. They started, this was an earlier iteration of it. I love the size of it. I would like to do more life-size. I'd love this all to be life-size. The problem is transportation and storage. Incredibly difficult to store and handle. And wood at this height, over the course of multiple years, starts to bow, it starts to crack, it starts to do all sorts of things that I didn't think about when I first did this. And these guys came out of another series that I did that's a little bit of amalgamation between the two of them, which was a series of small masonite carved pieces that weren't carved, they were just drawings on pieces of masonite that I then cut the outline out of, that were on the baseline of galleries, and it started off at 2 inches. It was supposed to go up to 6 feet, but I only ever made it to about 3.5 feet before I got tired of doing it. But you had a series of people in military outfits. The smallest ones were the most predatory animals and had the highest ranking and were the most stationary. And then as it moved up in height, the rank went down. The characters started to turn and started to walk and then started to jog and then started to run. So that's where everything began, was that set. So that's process. What time is it? How are we doing with? I want to make sure it's 7:25.